What's up, Starcraft fans? This video is brought to you by Endarthe, who is supporting in the Pulse Cannon tier. Pulse Cannon tier supporters or higher are guaranteed one video redemption per month. So, he submitted this commander concept of Rohana. Rohana is, of course, the advisor aboard the Archship Spear of Adun, which was activated by Artanis when he was fleeing Ire. So, Rohana is a commander which has 3 top bar abilities that have the same given name and function called Warp and Obelisk. We'll explain that later. It will allow the player to summon an obelisk onto the field, and the top bar abilities will be switched with 3 different top bar abilities. Players can research tribal marks. So tribal marks are kind of like upgrades. Kind of. Call them upgrades for now. Yeah. Research tribal marks for the Furanax, Shalak, and Sargas in the obelisk. So for those who don't know, the Furanax, the Shalak, and the Sargas are Protoss tribes, which are named in Starcraft 1. If you played Starcraft 1, you'll know that the purple Protoss is called the Furanax tribe, the white Protoss is called the Shalak tribe, and the blue Protoss is called the Sargas tribe. And each of these castes, or each of these tribes, belong to different castes. The Furanax belongs to the Khala caste, who primarily are crafters and the civilian population of the Protoss. The Shalak would be the Judicator caste, the ruling class of the Protoss during the time of the Conclave. And Sargas tribe are the warrior class, or the Templar caste of the Protoss. So Artanis, Phoenix, the heroes are mostly from the Templar caste. Karax is famously of the Khala caste, and if you play Starcraft 1, Judicator Eldaris is from the, obviously, Judicator caste. Anyway, anytime you research a tribal mark, you will gain a Guardian for free. So Guardian is basically their hero unit. You'll gain a Guardian for free, and you'll get a bonus corresponding to whichever tribe you choose to research. So if you research Furanax, you'll get an upgrade pertaining to the Furanax tribe for the Protoss. If you get a Shalak tribal mark, you'll get a Shalak upgrade. So you can get 3 of these upgrades in any given game, and you can mix and match whichever tribe you want them to belong to. So for example, you can put all 3 in Sargas tribe. If you want a superpowered Sargas-based commander, you can put all 3 tribal marks in the Sargas tribe. Or you can have 1 of each. That also works. Or you can have, for example, 2 in Shalak and 1 in Furanax. That also works. So you can mix and match wherever you want those tribal marks to go into. So, for example, yeah, there we go. It's explained down here. Okay. The commander uses hallucinated units. So this is a big thing. I've read this document in advance, and it seems like this commander makes heavy use of hallucinated units, which include hallucinations, clone shades. Yeah, a lot of their units are hallucinations, so they take double spell damage, and they only deal half of their damage. So they're only half as strong as, you know, real units. So with me is Owl Master. Owl Master, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
Oh, I'm actually a little sweaty because it's pretty hot in the Philippines right now. I'm assuming it's also hot in the UAE where you are, unless you're air conditioned.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
Yeah, it's approaching. It's approaching. It's April, and it's kind of the summer season in the Philippines. The summer in the Philippines starts around March and ends around let's say June.
February next year.
What?
February next year.
Yeah, kind of like that. Except, yeah, that's kind of how the Philippines. If you're not from the Philippines, if you're from a temperate country, like anywhere north of the Tropic of Cancer or anywhere south of the Tropic of Capricorn, to you the Philippines will only have 2 seasons: hot and very hot. So it's hot here all year round. Anyway, so how we'll go about this is we'll first discuss the commander's top bar abilities, and their hero units, and then their units, the regular units, and then we'll proceed last their talent progression. So we'll start first with their heroes and special structures. So I did clarify from Endarthe a few things about his commander concept. So apparently, these obelisks are top bar abilities. They are summoned based on a cooldown, and they have a yeah, they have a 120-second cool-up time from when you can warp them. So basically, when you start the game, you have to wait 2 minutes before you can summon the obelisk. But as Endarthe said, once that 120 seconds or 2 minutes have passed, you can actually summon all 3 obelisks all at once. That's how he planned it. Although it does say here that there's a 60-second cooldown, so maybe you have to wait another 60 seconds before you can call down the next one. But I asked him, and he explicitly said that you can call down all 3 all at once. So we'll leave it at that. So yeah, the top bar, you can call down all 3 obelisks to warp in, and then once you warp in the obelisk, again, you will be able to research a tribal mark, and then you will be able to receive a hero based on what tribal mark you chose to go with. So that's
maybe
the
60 seconds. Like maybe that 60-second cooldown happens if an obelisk is destroyed. So you can open all 3 like at the start of the game, like after the cool up. But like if you lose an obelisk, you gotta wait for 60 seconds before you can.
Yeah. So this is basically, you know, the identity of Rohana as commander. Like that's how she differs from all the other commanders. She uses obelisks, and you can call them that at the start of the game. It's very different from how anyone else operates. Do you know of any other commander who operates even similarly? The closest one I can think of is Dahaka with the pack leaders, but those don't even function similarly. You basically research the ability to call down hero units, but it's not the same. You spend money.
Like the idea of like choices as you progress is like similar to Zeratul.
Yeah, it's similar to Zeratul, but yeah, except for Zeratul, you have to wait and collect each fragment separately, and then you can gain more and more as time goes on. But for Rohana, you basically get to choose from the very beginning which top bar abilities and which tribal marks you choose to engage. So, once you call down the obelisks, each obelisk will be able to use, or will be able to give you a different top bar ability. So first you have Temporal Field. Temporal Field is her first top bar. I'm guessing Rohana's top bar works like a normal Spear of Adun top bar with 4 abilities and some passives. So the first one is Temporal Field. You know how this works. It's a mutator. It stops all enemy forces and slows down enemy heroes within the 3 radius field. It costs 20 energy, which I guess is fine. In the campaign, I'm not sure if you play the campaign, Our Master, but in the campaign you call down 3 of these temporal fields and deploy them. I wonder if I actually forgot to ask Endarthe this, but I wonder if this temporal field will be able to call down 3 fields, or do you think it's just 1? I think 3 is fair, right?
Well, as far as campaign goes, like I completed the campaign, all the achievements.
Yeah.
Very much salt was had.
Imagine being angry in a video game. Could never be me.
I don't know. Imagine getting angry in a video game. I don't remember if I used Temporal Field.
Yeah, Temporal Field was one of those that I seldom used because, like, offense is better. Killing stuff is better than keeping them locked. And that goes same as co-op. Though, that being said, there are some instances where Temporal Field is actually, for example, Poopigators, as you know. Poopigators, yeah. I think if Vorazun doesn't have the option to kill them right away, you can always black hole them and then just whack them down until they die. So, yeah, that's an option. But anyway, before we digress too much. So, each one of the obelisks you call down will allow you to unlock a different top bar ability on their place in the top bar. So, the second one, the first warp in obelisk you cool down, or you warp in, will unlock the mass hallucination ability once you call down the obelisk. So the mass hallucination will make all non-summoned player and ally-owned units within 7 radius are copied and create a hallucinated target. Basically, what this means is you get a big circle that's larger than the attack radius of the Marine or even the Marauder. Yeah, 7 radius is pretty big. So all the units within that 7 radius. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the radius of a regular nuke is 8, right?
It's like 7 or 8, yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So it's almost as big as a nuke, or as big as a nuke, depending on what the actual size is. But like it's almost the radius of a nuke. So all the forces in that field, other than the ones you summon, for example, Hyperion will not be affected. Shades will not be affected. Wait, will Shades be affected? For example, if you're playing with a Phoenix ally who uses Mass Adepts, do you think the Shades will be also affected with Mass Hallucinations? Probably not, right?
The Adept Shades, I don't think they count.
Yeah. And, for example, Kerrigan is a hero unit. Will she count? Will she also be hallucinated? I think she does. She's
Probably
not summoned.
not.
Probably not. That's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, there's probably a filter for like heroics, which means that stuff like Kaldalis and Kaldaran would also
But how about
be on that
Tychus?
list.
Tychus Outlaws? They are actually produced from the uh uh Joey Ray's bar. I think
I think for something like this, there would probably be a heroic filter. So anything that is considered a heroic unit will not be counted.
Yeah, I guess for
So
balance purposes, you wouldn't count. Instead of saying summon non-summoned player, you might as well say non-heroic. So but it kind of takes away a bit of the fun out of it. Personally,
well, I mean, like think about it this way, right? Like, say you can duplicate Titus or one of his other outlaws. There is some other ability that allows you to convert hallucinations into real units. So there's that also.
well, we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. But
Yeah.
what you need to know for now is that the hallucinations last for 20 seconds, so it's not that long. Not that long of a duration to begin with. Anyway, yeah. Basically, you get a nuke-sized area where everything inside it that you own and your ally owns will basically duplicate. We will have double your army for 20 seconds. Of course, the duplicate army is weaker because they're hallucinations. And as we brought up before, the hallucinations have half the health and half the damage output. Anyway, so the second obelisk, or the third top bar, will unlock Matrix Overload once you use it. So the Matrix Overload will increase move speed by 40% and attack rate by 25%. Of all player and ally owned units for 20 seconds. So that's pretty decent. It's like a mass frenzy of sorts. It's like a mass frenzy for Rohana. It's also to note, it's also a campaign ability, but in the campaign, the how it works is that it's a passive, and your forces will gain that buff as long as they're inside any power field, and they will continue to get that buff for, I think, a few seconds, maybe 20 seconds also, up after leaving the power field. So you can kind of like just put your force in the power field and then charge them up for 20 seconds and then maybe retreat or something. So that's how you use it in the campaign. Anyway, the cooldown is 60 seconds and the initial cool up is 120 seconds. So there we go. So for the Warp and Obelisk, you can call it down for the first time at 2 minutes, and at 3 minutes you'll be able to use Matrix Overload. There we go. Finally, the last top bar and the last obelisk will unlock Maximum Overcharge. Maximum Overcharge grants all player-owned obelisks, nexus, and phase prisms in phase mode, and that deals 80 damage with 1 point within 60 weapon range. Okay, so apparently this is only player-owned nexuses, so it's not allied. So it doesn't affect allied nexus. So it's kind of a selfish top bar. It would be nice if it also affects allied primary structures. But I guess that might be a bit of an issue, especially if you have a Rainer who's just massing orbitals. That could be a bit too strong, maybe. But yeah, it's a pretty good defensive ability, which I think it comes online at 3 minutes, which is great for either taking your expansion or defeating the first wave of the map. What do you think, Master?
When it's a player owned, this does count allies as well, right?
I don't think so, because anytime the allies' forces are counted, it specifically it explicitly says that. And this time it doesn't say
Yeah,
that.
usually it is it would either be like there's two words that we use, either your or friendly. Those are the two real key words that they use in
But
descriptions.
in terms of in terms of awesomeness, I definitely think that allies should be included. But in terms of a commander maybe being too strong, maybe it shouldn't count. For example, if you're trying to do a solo and it accidentally overcharges your ally's command center, would that tarnish the run?
Well, if you're trying to do a solo, you should be playing like Reina or something like that as the ally, so you do not give any passives anyway.
Yeah,
like Nexus, right, that belongs to your ally is also player owned. Not yours, but it is also owned by a player.
Well, the reason why I think it means only the player using Rohana is affected is because it says only obelisks, nexus, and face prisms. If other commanders were involved, yeah, they would probably say hatcheries, command centers, enlistment centers, infested command centers, mecha hives, and stuff. Would also be included. But
I'm probably nitpicking, but for something like this to make it consistent with how the game is, I would just rewrite that. Grants all your obelisks, or grants all of Rohana's
Yeah,
obelisks.
I think that would make it less ambiguous. I definitely think it should be clarified what it actually means. But
because like player owned is basically the opposite of AI or computer owned.
But the concept is basically overcharge. It deals 80 damage.
Overcharge, yes.
80 damage. I think it deals. I've done the math on this. It's like 15 shots or something. 15 shots of 80 damage. 15 or 16 shots, which is pretty good. I think it can take down a rock, a set of rocks at an expansion, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like for 100 energy, I don't know if I'd be using.
And its cooldown is 60 seconds, which is notably less than the cooldown of Alarak's Overcharge. I think Alarak's Overcharge, if I recall, is 90 seconds.
90 seconds.
Yes.
But the issue is like the energy cost here. Like 100 energy.
That's true.
Like, think of it in the context of Karax, right? Like, Karax is like the amount of damage that you can deal from that. Like, a solar lance costs
50
energy.
50 energy.
It's like 50 energy.
Yeah, I guess. So it's like either for rock opening or first wave defense or emergency, for an emergency in case your army isn't there.
Well, that's the other thing as well, is how much energy do you start with? Because building up 100 Spear of Adun energy is kind of difficult if you are not Garax.
I don't see why Rohana's energy buildup would be any different from that of other Protoss commanders. They all start with 0 unless you have Spear of Adun energy mastery.
Right. So think of like someone like Artanis, and now think about how long it takes him to build up 100 energy. You would never be able to. I don't think you'd be able to use this to clear your rocks. You'd have to clear your rocks with something else.
Well, it depends. I guess if you have, we'll have a look at Spear of Adun energy mastery later on if it's there. But I guess if you aren't level 90, you wouldn't be able to clear out your rocks anyway with any commander, any Protoss commander. So yeah, it depends on how much energy you start with. Anyway, let's move on. We will go to the heroes. So we've established what the top bars do. They warp in obelisks, and once you warp in obelisk, the ability behind it will be unlocked. So now you can see, the obelisk is the top bar. So the obelisk grants 16 supply, but it is not the only source of supply for Rohana. Rohana maxes out at 200, like any other Protoss commander. But the obelisk just add 16 supply. So you kind of get, at 2 minutes, a huge supply spike of 48 once you call down 3 obelisks. It's pretty massive if you think about it. A 48 supply buff. Middle maximum shields 400 and 400 health. That's a pretty tanky building. 800 health and 400 of regens. And yeah, it has a 13 radius power field, which is massive. Now 13 radius power field, I think, is bigger than a Dark Pylon. It's pretty huge. And yeah,
it's pretty big.
It's enormous. So from the tribal or from the obelisk, you'll be able to research one of 3 tribal marks. From each obelisk, you can research one of 3 tribal marks. So you can research tribal mark of the Furinax. Each of these tribal marks will summon a corresponding guardian or the hero unit, and it will also give you specific perks of that Protoss tribe. So, if you call down the tribal mark, or if you use the tribal mark of the Furinax, you will call down the Furinax Guardian, which is basically a Carax. You can see its abilities. You get a charged blink. More on that later. You get a charged blink with perks depending on which tribal mark you focus on. So you can either have reduced cooldown if you focus a lot on Furinax tribe research. You can get increased sight and blink range if you get the Shellac research, and you get the Sargass, or increased movement speed if you get the Sargass research. So you can get any combination of these 3 as your loadout, and that will buff your charged blink depending on where you assign them. So this Carax will also have phase cannons. So these cannons have timed life 30 seconds, and they will only shoot if they're in the power field. And the ability cooldown is 10 seconds. Okay. Do we have stats for these phase cannons? I kind of forgot. Whether they are Zeratul Tesseract cannons or like regular 1v1 cannons. I guess we'll find out later on.
It looks like photon cannons. It says creates a photon cannon, so I'm assuming it has those stats.
A 1v1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you need 100 minerals, 100 gas, and 60 seconds to research. So, the next ability, this is the interesting one, Corporealize. Remember that ability we were talking about earlier that creates hallucinated units out of everything in a nuclear-sized range? So, the Corporealize will basically turn the hallucinated unit into a real unit. So basically, if you make a hallucinated carrier, use Corporealize on it to make it a real carrier. And the affected unit no longer has time life and does not cost any supply. This is pretty big. If it doesn't cost any supply, you can theoretically make an unlimited number of, big units that cost a lot of supply.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a very balanced ability.
It seems pretty fun. It's pretty fun to use, especially on something like a Dead of Night.
Perfectly balanced.
9-hour run. It has a big cooldown though. The cooldown is 60 seconds. So it looks like every time, 30 seconds? Does it say that?
Corporealize? Ability cooldown 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, okay, I was looking at the photon cannon cooldown. My mistake. So first you need to research this for 150 minerals, 150 gas, and 90 seconds. But, you'll get a Corporealize ability with a 30-second cooldown. So, the thing about this is you can probably only Corporealize one hallucination every time you use the mass hallucination, because the duration of mass hallucination is 20 seconds. And the cooldown of Corporealize is 30 seconds. So you can only get one. You can only Corporealize one of the units, and that's also the reason why I don't think any hero unit should count. Yeah, instead of saying non-summoned unit, you should just flat out say non-heroic unit and be done with it. Yeah, I think that's about it. That's about that. What else do we have? Technologist equipment. Project a 6. So basically, this is Carax's passive. So he projects a power field. He projects a power field around him with 6 radius, and he has those repair drones, which repair 4 shields per second, and structures at the same time. Okay, he doesn't have the super chrono buff. So you know that campaign bug, right? Where Carax has a passive chrono around him. Do you know that bug?
Yes, I used it for
The last mission.
it was the temple mission, I think. The one with the temple of the past one where you had to defend against the Zerg.
No,
No,
it's not Temple of the
yeah, it was
Past.
the last mission.
It was the last mission.
Yeah,
Salvation.
it was the last one.
Yeah, everyone used that cheese. So unfortunately, that ability is not available on the Furinax Guardian. Otherwise, everyone will just use the Furinax Guardian. Anyway, we move on to the next guard. So basically, you have a Karax here with a blink, and can make hallucinated units into real units, which is pretty good, I'd say. Yeah, anytime you have the ability to scale up independent of resources, it's pretty good. It's like warping in the Tesseract Monolith for Zertul. It's just gaining value for free, which is always good for longer games. You have next the Shalak Guardian. So it looks like Artanis, which is funny because as I mentioned before, the Shalak tribe is a Judicator tribe, and Artanis is from the Shalak tribe is of the Judicator caste, and Artanis is of the Templar caste. So it's kind of a mismatch here. I did bring that up with Endarthe, and he said that he does know of it, but the most available hero is Artanis, so that's what he went with, so that Blizzard doesn't have to make a separate hero just for this. Anyway, enough about that. So the abilities, Charged Blink, same stuff. You also get a passive buff. Lightning Dash, it's basically the Lightning Dash in the campaign. Deals 40 damage within a 1.5 radius splash, and it stuns enemies and slows down heroic enemies. Cooldown 10 seconds. And you have to research it. Interesting. You have to research it. Next, we have Astral Winds. It's basically mass healing. Heals 30% life and 20% shields for player and allied units within 3 radius around the user. This is pretty amazing, actually, if you think about this. It's a 30-second cooldown. And if you mass carriers, for example, all you have to do is kind of micro hurt carriers back and just spam this healing. It's pretty good. This is pretty good, I'd say. 20% life, 20% shield. Yeah, that's pretty good. Force of Will. Upon death.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's because it's the healing is percentage based, not value based, basically. So like it's better for commanders who have expensive units like Tychus, for example. This Astral Winds would be great if you have a Tychus ally. And if you have someone who runs mass capital ships, like mass battle cruisers, for example. But it'll be painful for guys like, for example, if you just mass Zerglings as Zagara, Astral Winds basically does nothing, because they'll die. It'll heal like 30% life of a Zergling, so 45, it'll heal like 10 health, 11 health, which is basically nothing. Force of Will. Upon death, this unit deals 100 damage to all enemy units within 4 radius area, and knocks back affected enemies. So it's like the Resurgence for Artanis, except there is no Resurgence. He just dies, but explodes upon death. Treat this as a mutually assured destruction. That's really, really, really weak. Kinda. Yeah? Fair comparison?
Pretty fair, yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on. Sargas Guardian. So you can see it's a Vorazun. Obelisk acquires Mark of the Sargas. Yeah, so if you research the Sargas tribal mark, you will get the Sargas Guardian. Again, Charged Blink. Shadow Strike, it's basically a blink of the 1v1 Dark Templar. They blink toward the enemy and then they deal instant damage. Actually, what I would compare this more to is Leaping Strike. Because you basically teleport, you basically jump to your target and then you deal instant damage. Yeah, it's basically Leaping Strike. Yeah? Or Deadly Charge, something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, it's one of those abilities.
It's
I don't know what it's called. It's a Leaping Strike. No, Leaping Strike is Kerrigan, right?
Yeah, Leaping Strike is Kerrigan. You also have Void Armor, which grants 100 shields to player and ally owned units. Here's where we make a distinction. Look, it clearly says player and ally-owned units. So he made a distinction to say ally-owned units specifically. That's why I think that
I see.
earlier he meant only player units will get the maximum overcharge. So yeah, I don't think allies are affected, just the players. Or just the Vorazun players. So yeah, so this grants 100 shield. So this is different. This is different. Instead, this is like the opposite of Astral Winds, because you give 100 shield points to all player and ally units with 3 radius. So this is like if you play the Heart of Swarm campaign, Wild Mutation, you give like a steady shield to any units with a 3 radius, and what you do with that is obviously you just clump up a bunch of air units in a tight space. For example, Scourge. You activate Void Armor, and then you charge it towards whatever it is you want to die. Like, for example, think of Scythe of Amon. You use Void Armor on like 100 Scourge sitting above the Vorazun. Sitting above the Vorazun and just run it toward the shard, and the shard dies. That is how this will work, and it's pretty cool. Other applications. Mutalisks. What you use if you played Heart of the Swarm campaign. Mutalisks. Mass Void Race, if you have an ally who uses Mass Void Race. Who else could use this? What do you think? Who else could use this? 10 seconds. I think just Scourge, actually. The radius is pretty tiny, just 3 radius. I think the biggest beneficiary of this Void Armor would be Scourge, if you want to do like a cheese of Void Launch, or Scythe of Amon, or Rift Score Hall, one of those. Veil of Shadows. This is permanently, so those are the 3 heroes. So again, you call on each one of them with each tribal mark. So if you research 3 Furinax tribal marks, you will get 3 Furinax Guardians, which means you can actually get 3 Corporealize every mass hallucination, or you can get 3 Shalak Guardians, which I think means your Tempests will never die, your Carriers will never die, your Battlecruisers will never die, because they'll just keep spam healing it. Which, now that I think of it, is probably going to be pretty funny. Having a fleet that just never dies. Like, imagine playing Mass Tempests or Mass Carriers against Black Death. You're like, oh no, my forces are dying. Heal, they're all better. Sounds proper busted.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think it's like super busted or just fun busted?
I think it would be interesting to see how people would utilize it. I don't know if it would be broken.
That's good.
Okay.
That's good. If you don't know if it'll be definitely broken, then it's definitely worth a shot. So yeah, those are the hero abilities, or those are heroes and abilities of this commander. We move on to regular units. We go first to the Instigator. The Instigator is basically a stalker. Regular stalker stats.
Pause. I just thought of something else. Don't pause the video, but I just realized something.
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated by this corporealized thing.
Yeah.
If you go for 3 obelisks and go for Furinax on all of them, you get 3 Furinax Guardians.
Yes.
Which essentially means that you could have a 10-second ability cooldown on your corporealize.
Hold on. The corporealize. Let me go back to that. So
because you have 3 Furinax Guardians, so you can cast 3 corporealizes every 30 seconds. Essentially, that's a corporealize every 10 seconds.
30 seconds. Does it say...
I'm so fascinated by that ability because I think it is ridiculously broken.
Does it say that the ability cooldown reduces?
The ability cooldown doesn't reduce, but you have 3 guardians, right?
Oh,
Every single obelisk, when you do your research, gives you a guardian.
Yeah.
So you get 3 Furinax Guardians, or 3 corporealizes.
You can
every
really
30
ramp up fast and not take up supply.
Yeah.
That's a really broken part.
And they don't take up supply.
It doesn't take up supply.
So all you do is you get like and tell him, okay, build 3 carriers, and then you cast your hallucination ability, and now you've doubled his army size.
Yeah, and think about this. What if instead of having carriers, you have, for example, an additional 3 ascendants, the fully stacked ones, or for example,
yeah,
and then, or for example, 3 more, what was that? Liberators, Nova Liberators. Or
3 Nova Liberators, and if there's no heroic limit, 3 Brutalisks.
Brutalisks are considered heroic.
So now Abathur has 6 Brutalisks out, if there's no heroic filter on the thing.
P3 Abathur fans in shambles.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry for the digression, but I just thought of that.
I thought of something else. You have a Swan with the Hercules fully loaded with siege tanks, and if you corporealize that, does it also corporealize the tanks inside the Hercules?
If it did, that would be insane. I don't think it does, because I think units inside cargo, I think they're not not present in the game.
But a man can
dream. I don't think they count as exist. Yeah, that would be like a lot of think also of if you're playing Alarak, right? Like if you're playing P1 Alarak, take one of his Wrathwalkers.
Wrathwalkers? Dude, that's so insane. That's actually insane.
That ability is broken. I know it's broken. I saw it from a mile away, and it needs to be looked at.
It might make Mecha Battle Carrier Lords efficient.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that can be broken with this.
Oh man, ability. I actually want to try that now. Now that you mentioned it, it sounds pretty fun. Anyway,
it'll be a lot of fun. There's a lot of shenaniganry you can do with it.
A1's gonna be so tilted. Anyway, Instigator. This is basically just a regular stalker with a bunch of different abilities. So first, the charged blink. It's basically on all of Rohana's units. Charged blink is on every single unit except the probe. There's also hallucinated clone, which I think means that every time you blink, Rohana's Instigator, it leaves behind a clone that's hallucinated, and you can basically send that clone to fight the enemy. And the cooldown of blink is 10 seconds without any mastery points or without any buffs. So with full Furinax tribal marks, you can actually get a free Instigator hallucination every 7 seconds. And that kind of thing reminds me of Swarm Host play for Abathur. You can just keep blinking and then send the hallucinations toward the enemy, and then blink again, send 7 more hallucinations toward the enemy, then rinse and repeat. You're just sending literally free toward the enemies. And it's basically Swarm Host play that's more difficult, basically. There's one more ability here called a Tachyon Disruption. So it's basically concussive shells. So basically, Rohana's Stalker, Rohana Instigator has Blink, can be a Swarm Host, and has concussive shells. So it's a pretty I would say, where would you rank this among the co-op stalkers? Above Zeratul Ambushers?
I don't know. I think their Zeratul Ambushers are really good.
Yeah, they're really good with a triple blink, but free
triple
units
blinks just delete everything.
But free units. It's not as fast.
There's hallucinated cologne. You could use corporealize on it.
Yeah, even more blinks. I can see it.
Come back to the ability for the course of this video.
Think of
how else can I abuse this already broken ability?
think of how Abathur Swarm Hosts work. They cost 3 supply each, and they cost 125 gas on the second prestige. This Instigator costs 0 gas. Look at it. So it's basically a free, mineral only based Swarm Host that you can grab as many as 100 of. It's a never-ending parade of stalkers. As long
especially with corporealized.
as long as they get a shot off, as long as they get a shot off, they'll be worth it because they're actually free. That's actually I think that strategy is actually insane. But like,
Wait,
yeah,
do the things don't despawn?
they have a
I
7.
misread this. Didn't?
They have a 7-second duration.
Oh, they last for something. Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, here. That
I
lasts
mean,
7 seconds. There we go. I mean, they
it's a
don't.
cooldown. So,
They don't
hmm.
need. They don't. They probably won't last whole. They're stalkers. They won't last the whole 7 seconds. The idea is that you make the blink also last 7 seconds. The make the blink cooldown also last 7 seconds, so that 100% of the time you will have clones attacking the enemy. I think that's the concept behind this. You always have clones.
You know what? I think this might be better than Zeratul. Because what you do is you build up your 3 charges.
That's what I'm
Charge
saying.
blink, because you're almost gonna have that.
That's
and
what
then
I'm
you basically
saying.
do what Zeratul does. But
Except your stalkers are much cheaper. Look, Zeratul's
yeah, your stalkers are much cheaper, and they don't even have to attack because you blink in and you blink out, and then your apparitions or whatever they are, your hallucinated units are the things.
Yeah, it's like
I agree with you.
even better than Zeratul, which is mind blowing
It's
on
like
its
even
own.
better than Zeratul stalkers. I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, I agree. It's better than Zeratul
That's
stalkers.
insane. Next we have the Vindicator. It's an adept model, so it also has blink, which is funny. It also has it has a shade form. Now, there's an issue I have with this because like these are 2 activated abilities, and I don't trust regular players to use 2 active abilities on the same unit. I just don't think this will be very used. But just so you know, the shade form will transform into the into a hallucinated shade, and they're cloaked. The hallucinated shades are cloaked, and they basically debuff the enemy. So they function like havocs, except they don't block the enemy. They just stand at the enemy, and the enemy will take increased damage. My concern here is that if you have an ally that attacks with cloak units, the enemy will start bringing detection. Or if your enemy just happens to see any of your cloaked derps, they'll start bringing detection every wave, and they'll just shoot down all your derps. That's my concern here. So yeah, aside from, of course, the fact that, it's basically a derp, a 1v1 derp with blink. Like, I don't see anything that makes this. I guess there's boost glaives. Yeah, it boost glaives. Yeah, it's funny they call it glaives, and it says it basically turns into W-less glaives. It bounces twice. I guess it's a slightly better than 1v1 a derp, but like not by much. I don't think. I don't think this is gonna change the dynamic, because if you just add 2 bounces, it's still basically a 1v1 unit. I don't think it transforms the Vindicator into a true co-op unit. What do you think? Do you think it's strong enough?
Vindicator, I don't like. I had a look at it. It doesn't seem like something that would be used very often because of that little. Because of the amount of micro that's required, like form and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I think you just have this for the sake of having like a 3rd gateway unit. Mostly.
yeah, I mean, like if there's autocast, like for example, like on any other, like on Phoenix's Adepts, if there's like an autocast for this ability, then there's no reason to like not have a few in your army. But like losing the armor, like the 3 armor and the shield armor, armor doesn't really mean anything in co-op. Like the amount of damage that co-op commanders were able to output,
yeah, it's
so high. Yeah, it's just like it doesn't like an Ascendant, for example. Like, do you think the 3 armor is gonna save like a unit from like Ascendant's Mind Blast? It's like it's not gonna happen. Like I guess maybe against if you're up against like Marines, or if you're playing Zerglings, and if you're using like these lower tier units than the captains.
Maybe a way to make the derp this Vindicator more co-op like is to give it basically a second life. Like you can make this a regular derp with 3 bounces, and if it dies, it turns to a shade. That still does damage and still has health. That's the only thing I can think of. Like
Yeah, you could do something
yeah.
like that.
And if,
like an auto cast or something.
Oh, how about
well,
this?
Like for shade form.
How about this? If the shade isn't killed within like let's say a minute, it recorporealizes into the original Aderp.
Well, here's another idea.
Yeah.
Is when the adept dies, it turns into the shade form.
Yeah.
The shade form is invulnerable, but the shade form lasts like 3 or 4 seconds. So you have your adept. The adept dies. It creates a shade. The shade debuffs the enemy, and then it just disappears after some.
Make it last longer than 3 or 4 seconds. Wait, make it more
Something
like
along those.
yeah.
The timing can be
Yeah,
like,
there are ways to make this more like
make that thing.
yeah, make it more like
invulnerable.
a real co-op unit rather than just a slightly better 1v1 unit. Is all I'm saying. Anyway, let's move on. Nullifier again with the blink, and a hallucination, and a null field.
Ooh, Protoss Defiler.
Protoss Defiler. Not. I guess it looks like a Defiler. Yeah, it looks like a Defiler, but the function is, it's a sentry. It creates hallucinations with a chargeability. It's also a Viper. It's also a Viper. It prevents enemies inside from spending or gaining energy. This is pretty good for power overwhelming. If you use Null Field, it'll prevent enemies from using energy. Basically all the abilities. Which is pretty good. You can use this to counter Vipers. What I
Does it
would...
work though for power overwhelming?
I have no idea.
Power
because
overwhelming is trigger based. It's not like unit based.
They
The
still
unit does not
consume-
cast the ability.
they still consume energy.
The energy is like it's special. It's not like a regular energy bar.
Oh,
So it's very like it'll be very interesting to see how this thing is. Because
Yeah.
if it's only looking at the unit's energy bar, then power overwhelming will kind of be excluded. Because power overwhelming goes through like even time stop, right? Like, still skill you through.
Psionic
So,
counter.
It's very
Psionic counter. All hallucinated units within 5 radius reflect 50% damage taken back to attacker. So it's like a worse version of the shield guard, kinda. Yeah. So the only special thing about this nullifier is the null field, and it's pretty good. You can use that to nullify like the hybrid Yamato, the hybrid Storm, the Vipers, maybe science. I think this will also affect air units, science vessels, Vesters. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. For a spellcaster. Although that being said, why bother with that when you can just keep blinking in free stalkers repeatedly? Oh man. I can see Pikai being really thrilled to get this commander and just using mass stalkers anyway. Annihilator. So this is again blink, because of course it's a Rohana, therefore it has blink. Hardened shields. This one I like. If you played Wings of Liberty, you know that the Immortals' hardened shields are pretty difficult to crack. It's the Stetson Zerg ability. Reduces all incoming damage to 10. So like you can get hit with a Yamato, and you'll take 10 damage. You'll get hit with a nuke, and you take 10 damage. It's pretty awesome, as long as you have shields. Oblivion Cannon. This one's interesting. I've read the Oblivion Cannon, and it sounds like their attempt at making an Earth Splitter. Look, listen to this. 100 base damage, 300 versus structures, and it has a 4 radius splash damage. A 4 radius splash damage. And it deals 25% damage to all enemies within 4 radius. The range, minimum 15, maximum is 50. So you can stretch it to have 50 range.
what the hell?
Yeah, exactly. It's their attempt.
Amon's unit is chilling at its base and just gets smoked out of nowhere by like this thing.
What, you've never heard of Earth Splitter before? It's been a thing for years.
Like, look at me, I'm the Earth Splitter now.
Kind of. And like this thing, I presume can also hit air units. I think.
Yeah, there's nothing that says it only hits ground.
Yeah, I think this can also hit air. So you can use this to, like, snipe void launch shuttles while they're still
It means you
spawning in
wouldn't.
there. Yeah.
It also means that you wouldn't have to actually push the void slivers on Scythe of Amon. Like you just
Yeah.
basically park your immortals like just outside. You know, you just take out the not even the bonus area, but you know the little camp in between like slivers 3 and your expansion. There's a little camp that you usually have to push through that little corridor of units.
Yeah.
Just clear that out, and then you
You can just
all the void slivers from there.
that sounds really busted. It's like a Protoss version of the Earth Splitter. I guess they did get
Yeah.
jealous of Arcturus after all. Replicator,
Yeah.
I find this a bit underwhelming. You can transform it into an enemy unit.
Isn't it called a replicant, not a replicator? I think it's called a replicant.
Maybe, but I don't think it matters that much. I find this like it's basically a quasi one.
Sorian would be disappointed with you, CG.
Why?
Because you said it doesn't matter. Naming doesn't matter.
It does not matter. I tried to get him on the call, but he's not available. So I'm sorry, Subsorian. It doesn't matter. User can create a copy of target enemy unit along with its current abilities and upgrades only. Unable to target workers, some use heroic units. Yeah, so you can basically duplicate. You can duplicate the enemy unit. I don't think this will be very useful. In theory, it sounds awesome, but like, it'll probably die really fast. You see, the reason Vegas mind control works really well is because the mind controls remove that unit from the field, and it gives you a stronger version of that unit. And for Vorazu, it works because you can spam it. Then again, Replicator costs 125 gas, so maybe you can spam this. It's a 30-second cooldown, so you can basically it's once per fight. Oh, dude, I just thought of something. At first, I was kind of underwhelmed by Replicator, but what if?
I thought it was. It looks pretty broken to me.
Yeah.
Again, the same idea. It's you just double your army size by like just copying units.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
You can copy the the Annihilators, double the Earth Splitter damage.
Yep. Yep, that would work too.
That sounds fun. And then corporealize them.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, I thought it was underwhelming.
Now we're thinking like a Rohana player.
all right. I get it. And the thing that kind of convinced me was that it cost 125 gas. Vorazu's Dark Archons cost 375. This costs 125. So basically, you can get triple the unit stealing abilities. Also, by the way, it says that you can create a copy of target enemy unit. So you can't copy your own units. You have to copy enemies' units. So that unfortunately puts an end to your mass annihilator plan. You can only
Ally owned as well.
Does
Oh,
it
you're
say
talking about
ally?
duplication.
Duplication.
I was looking at replication. I think that one is the superior.
Replication. All replicate additional energy 50. They're hallucinated units though. I guess you can make cheaper versions of that unit, but
Well, duplication also, right? All duplicated units are hallucinated.
yeah, but think of this.
Hallucination works.
Think about this. You with 10 replicators, you can charge into an enemy base that has a single battlecruiser. You spam duplication that one battlecruiser, and suddenly you have 10 battlecruisers. Because it doesn't say that you can duplicate an enemy that's already duplicated. So you can spam duplication that one battlecruiser to give yourself 10. That sounds fun, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting because like the replication versus duplication kind of depends on like who has better units, your ally or Amon.
Yeah. Hmm.
Usually, your ally would have better units.
The thing that
So
really
you can duplicate hybrids because like
yeah
heroics are filled. So
the thing I like about this is that it's only 125 gas. It's really cheap, and like a Mutalisk, for example, costs 100 gas, and you can spam a whole army of them throughout the course of the game. What more if you spam replicators? Like, you can actually just spam out whatever it is your ally's making, and then yeah, just yeah, yeah. If your ally's Tempests, Massing Tempest, for example, you can double mass Tempests, whatever he has. It's gonna be so awesome. That being said, this sounds really busted. 125 gas,
yeah.
maybe up it a little bit. Maybe make it 200?
Perhaps.
I think 125 is a little on the cheap side for a unit with this potential. Anyway, next we move on to Phase Prism, which is basically the transport slash observer of Rohana, because with augmented prism, this unit or structure can detect cloaked, burrowed, duplicated, and hallucinated enemies. So you can actually, yeah, this is her only detection, I think. I mean, aside from the face cannons. That being said, would there be a look? Check it out. So it has a move speed of 2.9, which isn't bad, but like you already have Zeratul Warp Prisms with a move speed of 4.7 or something. 4.7. So why not make the move speed 4.7? Why not make it move as fast as a Zeratul Warp Prism? I think we should.
And I agree. Like it should be reasonably consistent across like everything.
Well, it's not across everything. I think Zeratul is just faster than, for example, Alarak's. But like, Alarak's Warp Prisms are kind of a super duper meme unit, but this one I think has legit capability because it has Mass Recall. That's why I think it should be as fast as Zeratul's. That's just what I think. Anyway, you also have the capital ship, a Signifier's carrier. I think you make this out of... Yeah, Warp Stargate. Warp Robo Bay. So from the Warp Robo Bay, you can make an Annihilator and a Replicator. And from the Warp Stargate, you can make a Phase Prism and the carrier. So they have a lack of fighter flyers and just go straight to capital ship. Could be risky. Anyway, Signifier's carrier, it's basically a carrier with blink for some reason. And they also have these shurikens. Do you like the name shuriken? I have a little bit of an issue, not really a problem, a minor issue with shurikens. It's just that it's very obviously a Japanese name, and I'm thinking that why not change it something
I've been
like
playing a lot of balloons, and ninja monkeys are the way to go. So I'm a big fan of the word shuriken.
it's not a Protoss thing,
Maybe like
though.
one person in your community probably understood and appreciated that joke.
I mean, I don't have a problem with shurikens per se, but like, it's a Protoss thing, not a Japanese thing.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay,
Just the name. I don't have a problem with shurikens per se. Just
Should be renamed to Spiky Interceptor.
even interceptors would be fine. Like I don't know, dispersers, or maybe even harriers, or something like that. Like I don't know about Japanese names. Anyway, that's just a minor issue. No issue with the itself. It's a hallucinated interceptor, so it's slightly weaker. So that's a thing. Given that, why would anyone go carriers? It's basically a 1v1 carrier. I'm looking at it. It's a 1v1 with Storm. Okay, I get it. 1.5 radius area damage, lasts 4 seconds, dealing 10 damage per second. Crippling Storm. Okay, I can see this being a thing. So the carriers have Storm and Interceptors. 4 seconds dealing 10 DPS. So it's 40 damage. And cause enemies within to lose 25. Does this stack? I don't think it does.
I don't think it does.
It's like a weaker Storm.
I'm not sure.
Increases spell duration by 1 second. So I guess if you get triple Uranax, you can up it to like 70 damage, which is still a weaker Storm.
Yeah, most storms do stack in terms of damage. Like even Artemis' storm doesn't stack until you get a 1 upgrade. I think it's a bug, but whatever.
You can make it like a big range though. 1.5 radius. You can make it like 3 radius if you get triple shellac tribal marks. There's something interesting. I guess you can use it for like specific mutators, but I don't see any mutators that mass instigators can't solve. Like even kill bots can be solved by mass instigators, I think. I can't imagine any mutators where carriers would be good, but instigators are not. Black Death, maybe? I think this commander just dies to Black Death straight up.
Yeah, I think it ends up struggling a lot versus that kind of mutator. But then again, like all commanders should not be good against all mutators. I'm looking at you, Zeratul.
Oh, I'm not saying this commander in general will have problems. I'm just saying this unit will have problems, but like
itself.
Think about that instigator strategy I told you about. That won't stop Rohana from still spamming free stalkers into the enemy base, because the real stalkers never have to fight. They just send in the hallucinations every time, and they'll never get Black Death. That's what I'm thinking. It's funny. Anyway, yeah, that's about it. Hallucinated Zealot, Nullifier, exclusive Nullifier. It doesn't deal damage, it charges. Yeah, it's fine. I don't have an issue with Hallucinated Zealot. Then we have a bunch of rejected ideas. I think we'll just skip over these since the video is already an hour long. We'll skip over these. And we'll end up with we'll end on the talent progression. The level 1 to level 15. So level 1, you get the 3 top power ability slots. Yeah, that sounds fine. Yeah, it's like the basic commander loadout. It introduces the commander. Level 2, Tribal Mark of the Furanax. This sounds like a really solid thing to put on level 2, because like a lot of the really fun things about this commander are like from the Furanax tribe. What do you think?
I think the Furanax is the way to go.
Yeah,
I mean, like
this is good to put on level 2.
Corporealize is like GG.
This is good to put on level 2. Twilight Council. Yeah, you can have these upgrades. That's fine. No issues there. Mass Hallucination, also fine. Yeah, so I guess at level 1 you don't have anything to research on the obelisk. It's just pylons. But oh yeah, and upgrades. But like level 5, obelisk incorporated charged blink. You know what? At no point in this game did I ever feel like charged blink was really a game-changing thing. Aside from stalkers, that like at any point during this discussion, did you feel like the charged blink does anything special?
Give me a second. I'm just having a look at
All of Rasio blink,
including the Annihilators.
Yeah, but like
and the replicants as well. So
wow.
I can kind of see like why. they would put this as a special upgrade.
Well,
Yeah, all of Rohana's units.
I don't think it's that impactful, to be honest. They can blink, so what? They'll kill the enemy whether they blink or not.
Interesting.
I think the only unit that really needs blink, I've seen everything. The only unit that really needs blink is the Stalker. The Instigator. You know what? Everyone else can do fine without the blink.
I think that's probably one of the things that makes the commander what they are. It's like your entire army can blink. Like your carriers can blink. Your sentries can blink.
Yeah, but you know, it's not practical. That's just saying creating an identity for the sake of creating an identity, but it's not really useful. I don't know.
I don't know. I
this.
I don't know if it's a level. I don't think it's a level 14 material. The blink.
Yeah, I mean, I like I like the concept of a shared upgrade that applies to everyone, but like, maybe there are ways to make the charged blink just more effective. Like maybe you can change up some of the abilities to synergize better with charged blink. For example, maybe you can also create shades based on charged blink, and then the shades would be the ones that cause debuffs for the Vindicator. For the Annihilator, maybe charged blink will regen shields or something, or will give a slight buff to the range. Yeah, maybe require a blink to buff the range of the Annihilator's shots, something like that. Like if you want to make charged blink a core part of every unit's abilities, then make it a core part of every unit's abilities. Like actually incorporate charged blink into the way they do stuff, rather than just having charged blink on there for the sake of saying, hey look, everything has charged blink. So what?
Yeah, I see your point. I still like the ability, like the charged blink. I just don't think it's like level 14 talent material.
Oh, we're at level 5. We're at level 5. Okay, here, how about this? Yeah, we can stick with...
Okay. I was looking at the level 14 talent, which is the one that no longer needs to be upgraded. Okay, I see. Yeah, you know what? I think it's fine. I think it's okay. But level 5 is like, it's fine.
But what I'm saying is, I don't have a problem with charged blink per se. My problem is that the charged blink is kind of a novelty rather than a real identity, you know?
Yeah, but like not everything like for a commander needs to be, you know, like part of its identity, right?
Like
no blink is
no one knows Stetman as the commander who can repair Zerg units. It's like a novelty, but no one thinks of Statman as that. If I think going through all this effort to add charged blink to anything doesn't really pay off for the commander. I'm thinking of ways to make it pay off, because it sounds like charged blink was really integrated into this. I don't think it was done well enough, is what I'm saying.
How about you get your Annihilators, charged blink in, cast your cannon wherever you need to, and then you blink out.
No, the cooldown charge blink is 10 seconds. That's more than enough time to kill the Annihilators.
Cooldowns for a charge on charged blink. You can still build up charges. Like charged blink basically turns all your blinks.
That's difficult to do, by the way. That's difficult to do, by blinking in, target firing something that's 50 range away, and then blinking out. That's a lot of difficult stuff to do.
Well, you don't have to hit from max range, right? Like, probably the Annihilators is a bad example because they can hit from across the map.
Like, I think the examples I gave earlier would be more impactful. I would say, like, yeah, for the Annihilator, each charged blink would increase the range by 10, something like that. So you can really play with the blink charges. Or maybe for the replicators, maybe each charged blink reduces the energy requirement or the cooler requirement of their abilities. For the carrier, maybe each charged blink adds a free interceptor that lasts for a timed life of maybe 20 seconds or something. Just add some more things to really make us feel that Charge Blink really is a core idea of the commander rather than a novelty. That's really all I'm saying. Like, make Charge Blink more impactful. Anyway, Robo Bay upgrade cache. I'm fine with this. Level 7 Tribal Mark of the Shalak. Level 7. Yeah, now that I've read everything, I think level 7 for Tribal Mark of the Shalak is fine. Please begin upgrade cache, also fine. That being said, I wonder if... There's no unit that they unlock, right? Every unit is unlocked from the start.
It does look like it, yeah.
Because I'm seeing maybe a possibility of either combining one of the tribal marks. So for example, you can combine level 2 with level 7. So at level 2 you can have both the tribal mark of the Furinax and the Shalak. So at the beginning the player has a choice. And on player 7, you allow players to unlock the carrier. Just something to unlock. Or that'd be a good idea.
I like that idea.
Unlock the unit.
It puts the players also into the mindset that, oh look, you need to make a choice.
Yes.
Otherwise they think they have everything.
Yeah.
Like here it's like at level 2 it's like, okay, you have to decide which of the marks you want. I like that idea.
Yeah.
It fits. It gives players a better idea of how the commander plays. I think what Blizzard had intended for the talent tree unlocks. That's a nice idea.
And then you mentioned this before, but at level 14, Charged Blade becomes unlocked, so the commander will just be able to use this for free. I asked you this another time, but like we did kind of agree that there is no other commander that needs to research and upgrade earlier on in their level progression and just gets it for free later on in their progression. And we still think that way, right? So that's why I'm thinking.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm thinking we should add something else at level 14. Maybe.
One option.
Hold on. I mentioned earlier that I want Charge Blink to be more impactful, right? What if we add those special interactions with Charge Blink onto level 14? Like, Charge Blink ability interactions. To give the special... Yeah, something like that. So, for level 5...
Charge Blink is free?
For level 5, Charge Blink is free. And then, at level 10... You get at level 10, you get the charged blink ability interactions with the commanders, so that they'll have better abilities with charged blink, and then you move everything else from level 10 to level 13 up a level. So, our warp harmonization goes to level 11, Tribal Mark of Sargasso goes to level 12, a guard upgrade cache goes to level 13, max overcharge goes to level 14. And exceptional guardians remains at level 15. But at level 10, you get the charged blink interactions. I think that's the way to go about this. You want to have like the more interactions with the charged blink to make it really feel like a core concept of commander. Like you want this to be the blink commander, make it the blink commander. Add more interactions with charged blink. What do you think?
I agree. I like that idea.
I like that idea too. What we said earlier, add the carrier as an unlocked unit until level 7 and combine Shalak tribal mark with the Furinax tribal mark. That's your progression. I think that's better. And then the units, I don't have a problem with them per se, actually. Just add more interactions with Charged Blink. Make them really feel like they need that ability. And you'll really feel like using that ability every time. Rather than just using it for the sake of using it. And then, what else? Oh, Masteries! We haven't got through Masteries yet. We did mention that. Masteries. Warp and Obelisk cooldown and cool up. minus 1 second to minus 30 seconds. Okay. Mass hallucination one. I think the second one is just flat out better, right? Mass
I'm
hallucination.
still trying to find the masters.
It's under the level progression. Level 3 up. Level page 3. Page 3. Under the level progressions. Congratulations.
Orphan all of us cooldown, mass hallucination, overload, maximum overcharge cooldown. Well, here's the thing: the energy consumption
is expensive
for these abilities ridiculously high. So,
but like, what are you gonna do with it? I guess, yeah. Not that I mention it. I guess
like, it's like, oh look, my overcharge now is like gonna get reset in 60 seconds. Isn't the cooldown for the overcharge 60 seconds normally?
It is 60 seconds, yeah. So it'll be basically
it's like, oh look,
no cooldowns.
That's my overcharge I want.
Yeah, but I don't have it. Yeah, that's true. I guess that with that information, I guess the cooldown, the obelisk cooldown and cool up would be cooler. Because you can, like, instead of having the obelisks at 2 minutes, you can have them at 1:30, which is 30 seconds after the Haka comes out. Pretty early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would almost definitely take the first one.
So maybe
what would be interesting is second mastery in set 1 instead of the cooldown if it was energy cost reduction.
Yeah, change it to energy cost reduction. That'll make it more competitive. Make it energy cost reduction.
Yeah.
Make the second option energy cost reduction, so that it'll be competitive. Set 2, Guardian attack rate. I don't think anyone will use Guardian attack rate. I don't think they're spellcasters basically. I don't think anyone will get them for their attacks. But then again, I haven't seen them battles.
What's their attack like? 20 damage. Base 2 attacks on the ground. Attack roll, yeah, they deal about 20 DPS.
Hallucinate use life and shield. Like, I think set 2 is already pretty competitive as it is. They're both kind of nice to have, but not really. I guess we don't really know the numbers, but the concept of these masteries sounds pretty fair. Maybe just tweak the numbers depending on what comes up in testing. But yeah, these look pretty good. Third set, Chrono Boost efficiency and starting supply. Look at that. They combine Chrono Boost and starting supply. My goodness. Non-hallucinated combat to attack rate. What if we move non-hallucinated combat to attack rate to the second option of set 1? Move non-hallucinated combat to attack rate to set 1, and then we split up Chrono Boost efficiency and extra starting supply. Actually, how about we replace Chrono Boost efficiency with starting energy, like Spear of Adun energy? I think that'll be a more interesting choice. Either starting supply or Spear of Adun starting energy.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good answer. All right.
Oh, here's an interesting. In the rejected ideas, top bar ability cooldown mastery is on the list, and Spear of Adun initial and maximum energy mastery has also been rejected.
Interesting. I would rather have the initial and maximum Spear of Adun.
I'd be very curious to know why those two things are rejected.
Yeah, the main bottleneck of of Rohana's abilities is the energy, not the cooldown.
Yeah, I'd really like to know. Maybe one of the guys who's made this sheet can post in your comments.
Yep.
Extra engagement for you as well.
Let us know.
I want to know A, why those things were rejected, and B, why they decided on the overcharge cooldown. Maybe there's something we're missing. Maybe there's a reason why going for the overcharge cooldown, like for these top bar cooldowns. Maybe there's a good reason to go for that.
Yeah.
Given the high energy cost.
So there's one more thing.
Maybe they can post rationale.
There's one more thing I wanted to talk about. So, Rohana, Do you see Rohan as a commander who particularly would find stuff like charged links and the three Protoss tribes be something that she would be specialized in? Do you think this is really Rohana, or is this like Rohana is a placeholder commander name for this concept?
I do not know enough about Rohana. For me, at first glance, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem Rohana-y.
this doesn't scream Rohana to me. That
Uh-huh.
being said, why not make it Tassadar? Tassadar's definitely is definitely better known for Starcraft lore fans. I'm thinking that if this doesn't really strongly resonate with Rohana herself, that's why I wanted to call Subsorian. I wanted to see if this really seems Rohana-y to him. If it doesn't, why not Tassadar? Because Tassadar was alive in StarCraft 1, and these tribal names and these tribe names are from StarCraft 1. And Hallucinations, Tassadar in StarCraft 1 was a High Templar. And one of the abilities of High Templar is Hallucination. So, why not Tassadar? Is it because...
This is where Subsorian very, very handy to have in the chat, because he'd be like, oh, no, you don't pick Tassadar, you pick this random Protoss that we've never heard of. Like, he'd fit this thing perfectly.
Yeah, I imagine he would. But that is an open question. I don't have the answer either. All I can say is I love Tassadar, and I would really love a Tassadar commander. And yeah, I don't really see if it is really Rohana-y, then I don't have a problem with it. I'm just thinking, why not Tassadar? Yeah, I think that's about it for this review. It was a long one. It was about 80 minutes long. My goodness. And I think just about all of it is productive conversation. There's really very little buffer that I could cut out.
Yeah.
Alright, then I'll end it here then. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have any idea of what else you do, please leave that in a comment. I'll see you guys next time.